Kairo duanya vananga duwe ngani oduma jabo de bonuma yo ngani yola du gangi Alamantuna gairo gono sakuna gambia ngulu Alinga nyoma na gano nimbadi ya dogo wale be gairo sabatila Ngani yola dara
In his government's effort to foster national unity, encourage tolerance, and accept our diversity, His Excellency President Adama Barrow called for the national dialogue, including engaging leaderships of registered political parties without exception or discrimination. The aim of the dialogue is to find common ground on economic, social, and political issues. On the 12th February 2024, leaders of 19 registered political parties, including independent candidates and the ruling party, took part in the national dialogue, which started with a political dialogue at the State House in Banjul to reflect on the theme, collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, securing our resources. The Gambian leader, President Adama Barrow, outlines the significance of the dialogue.
You may have realized that I have continually called upon my colleagues and fellow Gambians to come together and work in the best interests of the country we dearly love. It is every citizen's responsibility to contribute towards our overall security, peace, and stability, be it in an official or private capacity, as public servants or bona fide citizens. As leaders and public opinion influencers, we have a big stake in the nation. Thus, we also have the huge responsibility of striving to maintain peace and stability. Huge as it may be, we can achieve this by consciously avoiding and diffusing political or social tension through our public engagements with the people.
The President addressed the gathering that it is the collective responsibility of all to preserve the nation, safeguard the state, and secure our resources, or face instability and live in a weak economy.
We live in a world of uncertainty, instability, and insecurity. So we must act collectively and resolutely ahead of any potential unrest or calamity. We are blessed in the Gambia with positive social norms and values that can always bring us together and help us to preserve our warm and brand as the smiling coast of Africa.
The dialogue created a platform for all political leaders to discuss positive steps in resolving controversial issues. Thus, the importance cannot be underestimated.
Your Excellency, we are very much pleased and honored to participate in this dialogue of political parties initiated by you. And we say thank you very much, Mr. President, for calling such a gathering. We must commend the efforts for organizing this dialogue that we believe will be about mutual understanding and trust among us as stakeholders.
We must accept that the issue of land is becoming a threatening national security issue that needs to be discussed by everybody, so that at the end of the day, the government of the Gambia would do what its people want them to do. The issue of land cannot be brushed aside whilst we are sitting here.
We have in place what is called Land Commission. I'm not sure whether the Land Commission is functioning. If not, or if so, it is not as expected. if we want to do away with violence in our communities, the issue of the land, the policy around the land should be looked into.
I'm pleading on the government of the Gambia to ensure that the state resources should be equitably distributed to Gambians so that nobody will see himself or herself out of the box, but make sure everybody benefit from what we earn as a state.
Agriculture makes a huge contribution to the GDP. How can we improve agriculture? Commercializing agriculture, establishing a market, storage, factory for fruits and vegetables. These will mitigate climate change, reduce irregular migration, and improve youths and women employment.
Special urgency that should be attached to the consideration of the area of resource management to look out for possible improvements in that direction.
The issue of religious coexistence must be an issue that we have to address. When Pope John Paul came to this country, when he looked back at the central mosque he saw when he was at the St. Augustine, he asked, what is that? They told him it was a church. He said, I have never seen a central church, such a religious country, opposite a grand mosque. And that he praised the Gambia for being very religious. We cannot destroy that. We must make sure security and stability is key in our governance system.
I believe all of us together we can make a change for better Gambia. We have to protect our women, our children, and our sovereignty as a nation.
His Excellency Adama Barrow mangla ñaan mbootu bi dangay gën a yaatul mun naa laa dimbale ma ñëwal la mbootu yokkal la mbootu bi nga boot ñëpp xalaat ñëpp amal ñëpp yërmande boole ñëpp ci liggéey bi su boobaa rek wagon bi nga ubbi moto bi nga taaj ñëpp dinañ ci xej ñëpp dinañ ci gis seen boppa.
You cannot preserve the nation if you do not safeguard the nation. You cannot safeguard the nation if you do not seek to preserve the nation. And all of these require effective management of our resources.
My government holds the view that we should always try to forge national consensus on national issues that generate divergent views. Such divergence must not result in enmity or disunity. Instead, it should be tapped into as a source of strength for us to tolerate, appreciate, and empathize with one another. In this way, all citizens would have the opportunity to contribute to sustaining peace and stability nationwide.
President Barrow aimed to build a new direction toward political and economic equality, national unity, political tolerance, and a shared destiny. As a result, he established the National Dialogue Preparatory Committee, comprising representatives from a cross-section of institutions and organizations in the country to coordinate the activities leading to a National Dialogue Forum. The institutions include members of National Council for Civic Education, PURA, Supreme Islamic Council, the Christian Council, Tango, Writers Association of the Gambia, Gambia Press Union, National Council for Civic Education, Ministry of Gender, Inter-Party Committee, and the University of the Gambia.
I have directed the committee to work on this National Consultative Forum to encourage and stimulate reflection and dialogue on selected national issues to promote, protect, and nurture peace and stability in our democracy.
The dialogue focuses on 6 thematic discussions covering the political environment, religious tolerance, ethnic diversity, sovereign security, safeguarding the media, and irregular migration. A consultative forum was held on the 14th February 2024, where members of the preparatory committee discussed with key stakeholders and identified concerns and recommendations on the thematic areas. The Barrow administration ought to continue bridging this space between different actors and foster a subculture of communication and collaboration. Hence, on February 16, 2024, the Borough Administration formed the first ever inclusive National Dialogue Forum, a day event convened around 500 key Gambian stakeholders from across the civil and political spectrum to exchange views and address major challenges in the country, aimed at fostering consensus and reconciliation and building a shared vision for the future.
We need to strengthen our dispute resolution mechanisms, whether they are formal or traditional, in order to promote stability in the community. Social media has been wielded as a tool to propagate toxic political rhetoric, which, as mentioned earlier, undermines the interests of the perpetrators' political parties rather than advancing their cause.
It is our responsibility, all of us collectively, to teach this generation and the generation that is to come what it means to be Gambian. And what does it mean to be Gambian? It means that you and I will look at ourselves in the face and tell ourselves, for the Gambia, we will ever be true.
We need a constructive dialogue to communicate to each other, put our differences on the table, to build understanding and consensus. It is the ethic of dialogue to respect the other opinion according to the rule that says, my opinion is correct and may be wrong, and the opposite opinion is wrong but may be correct.
This is the reason for strengthening our institutions, enforcing the laws of the land, and developing policies to guide our relationships. We are a decent people and a nation bound by destiny to live and work together. It must not surprise anyone, therefore, that the theme for this year's Independence Day's anniversary celebration is a call for us to respond to our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. The task is for us as political leaders, stakeholders, and citizens to find ways and means of positively translating this broad theme into action.
Rapporteurs from various thematic teams presented key recommendations discussed at the consultative forum.
To integrate civic and cultural education, and this aims to educate people about their own and other cultural practices, fostering understanding and respect among the people. And also to expand education, civic education, to the lower grades, as we understood that the civic education is already introduced in our curriculum at the higher level.
We recommended for gender parity, and in this country we usually say it is a country of all Gambians, but in fairness, women continue to be left behind. And I think those are issues that we also highlighted so that we can get that. So the other point was economic management, the borrowing. We need to start thinking about that. You know, who's going to pay it? Yes, we're going to have investment and all that, but who's going to pay that? The future is also thinking about that. But also we talked about strengthening the productive sector of the country. We don't need to import food. We can produce our own food. And usually we talk about this country being a poor country, but I disagree. You cannot have a 80-kilometer coastline and a full river, and half of it which is fresh water, and yet still we continue to be poor. So we said that we need to strengthen the productive sectors of this economy, and that require people working.
Few months later, the preparatory committee briefed His Excellency President Adama Barrow with the report of the first phase of the national dialogue at the State House in Banjul. Key among the recommendations were:
the key findings was that in Group 1, it was the political environment for sustainable peace and stability, corruption and public sector reform. So here, the recommendation was to introduce the draft constitution, and Group 2 on religious tolerance for social cohesion. Here, the first recommendation was that the Muslims and Christian councils should establish an interreligious committee to lead the pertinent matters and for a proper structured system to be put in place for interreligious dialogue. Civic education in the school curriculum to include religious tolerance with the proper training and monitoring of the teaching of religious education by the proposed interreligious commission for the strengthening religious education across the board. And that the government empowers the Muslim and Christian councils financially and legally to give clearance for visiting teachers and for the registration of churches and mosques to be done upon the recommendation of the state councils. And then the next group is ethnic diversity for national unity. And the key findings is the importance of civic and cultural education, the need for zero tolerance policy against ethnic discrimination. The recommendations are that the zero tolerance policy creates a strong stance against discrimination based on ethnicity or any other factor, thus sending a message of inclusivity. Awareness creation to educate the public about the value of ethnic diversity, promote cultural norms and values, open discussion of the caste system to address the challenges that is associated with it, and as a caste system in order to promote equality and justice. The next group, which is group 4, security, sovereignty, safeguarding stability and well-being. Here the government should complete all reforms. Here we're talking about the security reform, elections, etc., and implement all the recommendations of the commissions and work on the draft constitution. And then group 5, the media and safeguarding of the democratic space. The key findings here are financial challenges and lack of media accountability. And their plea as a recommendation is that the government should allow subvention to private media in order for them to address financial challenges and enhance their effectiveness, enhance support to media capacity building initiatives, expedite the repeal of draconian press laws and ensure reforms such as transforming the Gambia radio and television service into a public broadcaster, while ensuring the implementation of the Access to Information Act, and that the media literacy be integrated into the national curriculum to empower the youth that navigate through the media landscape. And group 6, the last group, irregular migration and empowerment. The key findings, issues in migration, governance, and youth empowerment. And here they appeal that the government should improve on migration governance by extension, community sensitization, advocacy, orientation, and legislation.
By 2025, we will be able to say these were our priorities in 2024, and these are our achievements, these were the challenges, and these are the targets that are unmet. In that way, we will give confidence to the Gambian people that as a nation, we are progressing, identifying our priorities and working together to ensure that our priorities are met.
The Gambian leader re-echoed his commitment to ensure the recommendations put forward by the preparatory committee are reviewed and implemented by the government.
I assure the government will work with you, look at the recommendations, and do everything possible to make sure we implement the recommendations.
He further made a stunning announcement that the draft constitution will be reintroduced in the parliament.
We are right now discussing about the constitution. We have studied it page by page. We all contributed to it so that we have a new draft, and then we will present it to the National Assembly for enactment. So this is our responsibility, all of us, especially civil society, because we see you as neutral, we see you as referees, so that you can mediate, you can be referees between political parties or communities or youth leaders, so that we can have consensus and we have a new constitution, and that will be part of the third republic.
After the first phase of the national dialogue, it was recommended to engage with grassroots communities to ensure nationwide participation. Under the coordination of the Office of the President, its officials and members of the National Dialogue Preparatory Committee visited 45 districts across the country. The Director of Press and Public Relations, Ami Bojan Sisoho, is the coordinator of the National Dialogue. In the beginning of July 2024, regional consultative forums were conducted to build an inclusive society where voices of all segments, especially the provincial people, are included in the process of policy making. 6 teams spread throughout the regions and simultaneously engage communities.
This other phase that we are having is the second phase of that national dialogue. This one is a regional consultation, and the idea is to also have people at the grassroots to also have an input into the ongoing conversation because it is called a national dialogue, so it should have a national dimension that everybody in this country should have an opportunity to take part in the conversation to discuss about national issues, development issues, or even peace and security issues in the country.
And this is to bring the peoples in the regions together. The format is we are going district by district. One group is in West Coast and we'll be covering Banjul and KM. We have another group at Central River Region, another group Lower River Region, and one Upper River Region. And when we get the inputs of the people, then we would input their opinions in the draft, and then that would now be transformed to a final report of the National Dialogue.
The program aims to enable local people to come together and engage in a dialogue, decision-making, and ways to tackle local challenges together. Leaders at the regional levels played a critical role in the dissemination processes, from governors to chiefs and village heads. Follow me as we go to get the community voices from the regions. Let's hear their key concerns and recommendations.
Party leaders yi man ñom lay waxal comme que supporters yeb dañ leen nangul dégal leen kon ku nekk war nga waxal sa parti supporter jikko bu mu wara am
rog la ñim fanna akana bala faaw bala facije ye mango mem muta kola ya tamandi luwa ya tamandi nyame parce que fotale amunta a fota ate banna parentela joya miroto ndanga mira nyin kalabante abe kana nyin tanko nyin drog la kola parce que tete sila bi mbedame ngamurota nganyi so murola mun dalil kamma
banku be ko alimbe nga wuru nga ko sementu yende a political difference bon damal tema mbebe def kero damal sabati kan banko
kol jembat amaton mina hajo hay polal gotal walli nakaton tukuna fo nattinama mina men kebana hay gotal si lady ndi essence mina son hay wonde ko sansi ala
then land issue is our major challenge today. The governor say it, I can say it that too, that in my office we have more land issues than any other. To minimize this, we have to be very, very strict on how lands are acquired, and the alcalos also have to be very careful whom they sign a document for.
When it comes to agriculture, most of the youths, the reason that they are not going because there is no mechanized farming. And once we have this thing, most of the youths will come back. Because the farming implements, if we have them in our regions, we will all cooperate and work hard towards to have self-food sufficiency.
Electoral law reform la ni law ko to min ya lo ke man beti alu aja wollo ha to nya le bijede bari nkadia mun min ya lo de ban ni law da te min wajibi ya ka dawo mo lo kan ka fo yin min ne fekata mo min bije ma lo law min bije sa ko fa beti agre fa min beti ma lo mo den tan ne kasi karanalu ngalu alu jibe ngada ko yin beti ata mo to yani so bo mu problem mo te fo mo lo salon min be kere janni bala beti anala beti bali alon and womu problem wol ye dino la ko fojan ko dina dun kelu tema puru nga nyomboy nga ke kilintin to lomba kilin fatin womu ko kende baad adun nte alhamdulillah Gambia religious tolerance ma mirajo ngobe dunia kon bi man so malonde adun kombo south wo ma mirado la fo diverse woti bari même problème woti jang même mo toñaati cristiano be sirine de e man problème so misiri mo ni cristiano mon problème so Gambia la problème o misiri mo da male problème so wo nimbe hanyina toña fala wala mo ika o dorone moy wolle be ñoo no ma doron wolle be problème o crête kan doron bari muslim mo ni cristiano ja religious tolerance ntolle be sirino ka man problème so cristiano kunda problème to da mal tema problème mo be da mal de tema e quand même faut pour ka National Assembly ye malon Cristiano le mo kije Messi mo le mo kije wota me National Assembly malala lo hako because quand même faut to la loi Gambia la loi wala mo religious tolerance na song na neutral dino kono dino kana nyamuru mbe ko minu kala si faram fansi tije wala mu nyinte sio kana nyamuru mbe ko minu kala ni sarati silanko ite ta sijana ite be ndina kande to National Assembly kare namu ite kadina kare besen tonya wori yos neutrality fo ma woso toleba ninga wodu lije de constitution fo na loi lu minu bijenka wala buruka so ntema mira wo waista ni wo keta abina kila ndama tema problem press freedom nsontala bari press le fana yimba ko ti nyaade adun training abeta ta back ka press no train bari training buka attitude fari hani wakata la jelde yemo train nyawo nya ala attitude remains the same abe funti lale so mimbe kala wolo mu luwale be lala nyim kuoto purun kana nyo tonye mote bulano la molno kay be ban ne be kajafila ibe do luju kan sa wala fontindira iman tuskela because ya be no le ko be kajande ibe do kay do ning wandi muso do ka fula nyoma femman ke woto ke no la luwale be lala je nimmi ku ka jawma kuluro e lekan ngadaha luwale nyanta dole min nyanta parti leaders no forcer la parti yolu ida parti ibe mol min do de jim percentage nyanta kala muso ni wonta te ke no la ha nyim percentage be kala muso 2% lum 3% lum 1% lum 20% lum because if you understand 53% one at representation ke 1% wo nyaka staldi wo hada ma fo man so wala yo abaraka ba ka sajim ba dan jali
ko luwa da politiko fana e ban ni tambi da sarto la ñin be lalele
ñin president tata buruk yo kanye president mo jahi minto buruk
be birin ce fenke swami dulame yele swami dulame yele je barana plantation
ko gudi do don dulare ndewo
nata lota je
ari dari laari
dindingol mun ti nyaawo nyan
yo ko cugayel
bari ngaje ko lundangol nata na bango ka
hoɓɓe ngari e leydi men
ole banano produce me alongo Gambia della jambe sa sotono
wiyo hoɓɓe ngari e leydi e ɓe leggi banana mo ganduɗa fota Gambia fof
Gambia fondinjole be dogo kay je
ɓiɓɓe Gambia tan liggoto e on gaadi
bari ni ka pindi je hani musoli kal palpele alni
je a funta he on gaadina a fiɗɗete ha ande a sekkani banana e
bandu agriculture sector wala na ministry ite o nyongo lolantolle bang
nden laamu o haɗi laranay na on ni palasi
na nyawla bang janni wandi mo ba lolantolle fontal fomota lora bang
yo ho enen ɓen en mbawta ɗum darnude ɗo e
imam kolon sing
woyndu asaka
e ba na baji o lay ka walata
ko ndiyam maayo ɗam ɓe ƴeftata
andum dolle tam
ko enen nguuɗu
bat ni tata ji tel ko ngañaw baji o lay dolle tam
yo ka en noon jahi toon nan ko ɗum ɓe mantorta
ndiyam tata wandi banko do luntango
yo hoɓɓe ɓe
nindel tata wandi banko to ngake luntango
enen en jahi e leydele janane ko hoɓɓe
tan banko mol kanan na banko kay ka projet ol dele ngake luntango tewol fanan ko
yo yimɓe jana ɓe ngara he mudita projet ji gonen ne nder on projet
kala diya ana faali
yo nden wonde ɓiɓɓe Gambia hoɗum
ali ngatira e mon say fero
tolla police kunda jang tanko bunda en tol dasal parce que tolla police ol jam moto e wol dasal moto e darta ni mamman keta janni police ol ba fele bitawot ibe katano de katum poli jorangol tebulje anu motol tebulje ibe mol walin na minna mobul ken sago ka mo walino sako e mambil long ani mimbeji ha wentol dasa nyum bankun kan ndol lañu foñ wenda salade al suwo kalamta baake ko wentol dasal andu o minye mira baleti
masamanya nasona ani moy kambe ani moy dia corruption la ni ake drong ye kirinde loi men fo ya tamande ko kana balfa moy kana mo nyakono jube ni moye tiñaro ko masakunda kono akana ngomela akana balafela akana terea jibe ye luwa tamandi kan ni luwa men fo ya kela
bulle nde sukere
agoni kasaye to kasaye nyaka boyo
dum fotale haala Egypt
o manyana ta ka fo Egypt
ɗum ko référendum fonno waɗe
akoye ñanda o kala référendum leti ñin banko kam
ɗum ɓuuri député ɓe tan haalde ɗum
awo ñin tambita député dolna fo kan wala ñin banko kam
référendum ɗum fonno waɗe e Gambia laare ko hoɓe kala ɓurduɓe ɗum waɗe
ako ñanda ka référendum walati ya juuɓe Gambia ni men o melu siyata e men fo yewoke
kono yimɓe dada tangite ɗo ɓe jaa Égypte
mo saba doron bonde ye samba Égypte
ɓe mbiya ko ɗum waɗete
iko ɓe ñini kela
ɗum ne ko jam
ako fo baal ñinin kala fo fana mo kayra leydi ba
ɗum wona jam
wo manque kayrati
ɗum ko hunde leydi fof
ako banko bele taw
ɗum ɓe ponno waɗ
i ñanta wole kela
neɗɗo wawi ha kikiɗe neɗɗo wawi haal ha kikiɗe
ako asi diyamuno fo wuraɗo yata momanji diya
kono tawi mi wawa ɗum haal
ako ni a jata fo nola
komi loo
a kam fatale
goɗɗi ɗum yeƴƴi tan
a doka aka ñina dole
te wona min tan leɓata
ako hakkille man ñanna diyamu
mi fondiɗo
aya dandi jam folo
turoli ka natinan jane baraka letle akatal fo samayata fo abina banna turo e nana wo ceta sénégal labata ku baleti jorangol ma soto han kabi dolbe je man fiire ce folo seno gambe jang ana fa batale andu ni seno sotota balwo sotota banko be tankunale lafta mena wala nyinti alisa fo masakunda ye mol ma ko jorangol la wala munti taraki tol yesi molla wallahi ngani diamo men ceteng nim balwo sotota dawoda wala cocote soto
usoli ni nyata wol kono nakuma sabanjang wala mu nyinti mamu yi barin sali fa fotan ko ma fanan barin sali dani ni naltol min nata musolu ila miro be janjandi mbake nyin kam mako nyin sira fa min be banko kan muso na di mu wanso muskila di wodi njar ta yel hanna fota dinkil na kam ta fe dunya balo ko ni doni bantara aka de ubake kela ka nyora di wala ka fa nga musdo so medin do so bar muso ka bata di wala nin ta maslo min be kerin teng to nyala na kayro le nim ala momo futandi na kayro le babal bar janna mari ba fule nan futatal ali yal ne muskunda ka dewo min asada bonta borin ta kumbonte abe ka tarlaari musolla kata nyin sira fa mi be kering dukar ala do ko kale nyin kala do ko to nyame
trakitol ngabul foton to nyalom trakitol dol bi jay binala jang hani hectare tang ati senela sate ko o trakito na panta ati tamano mota dadano ye muruna ye ma koy joram mesengol to wolom nyin ni dabol ni e ma ko akete nyawnya sate dol bi yele ni per sababi je ni e senera ngosoto hani la farol to jani pawati la vitale walla fenko vitale mbala burela woye manke bakeli ite sola la trakito la kaduna farol buka hectare tansi hectare tati by 20 15 fara kili se somanda kili jandi ba fala 12 watra fara woro biti eta yi e tuturoke o jora mesengol mbe sola te la le mansa kunda e mako o jora mesengol to as wolli sem support jandin trakitol kana hani trakitol bina o batar la janda be futla sate dol to mbeda min tek o batar la wol sama jam fata bare jali ba do man do may ni raw jora mesengol la jandin trakito bi futala dol wala
me masakunda dane la minna
oy ko nyago do lamu
loptanol to
oy loptanuji
borol
lekki
parce que say loptano bi taka nyami
oy jon loptano yaratani
ndella molbe tora kanne de
yimbe meden na hen lorano bete
ni aje ngawo fo
sa yo wi non
ni tata loptan
sa yehi loptan
ni koy mankende ya
sa wi ya selladi
ni koy ta loptan
be ma ya lobitan
e kamune fo
ko dum bitama
ni tata loptan ite boro soto
sa yehi a hepta lekki
ikatara siri suol kono
be jodo to galleji to
ikata jambol kati
be jaabe kelto ya
ibo jambol tale be fajundila
ko ha ko be pasna
adi mala wo jambo abe mun torale balo ban
ko na ko lorata
lopita ni tata je
sa yehi lopita
ni e check
so be checki
hani atara imsa sami bela
hay so tay musu
e ba fo nole tayta boro san
ma ya so do nek
bari mbe mol danila
bono mo nyago yimbe
fengo fenni sasata
kala ko fawa
kana jibe ka fo loptano ma boro soto
wata jew loptan hebande
ake ala kan kila kan alin kata loptano
jaha lopitan
sako malo
ako mani boto
ñaari junne ak ñaar téeméer
ako mani boto wuli pula keme pula
tini ci bado ba
ako wodi min ta ba kesenela to de
amula dom jo dem bitim rew
ako imam mo soto membe tubabu du
ndax bay ngosi rek
ako itabe jikiru pempen na foseno doro
ni tini ci dom adama yi
ako diminta hadama dimo to de
nguur gi
ako man sakunda
nañ dimbale nit ñi
ako ye mol ma koy
diko dalé katon ba koy na
ako ka dati katon ko koy na
dara ñew
ako fentije
ndox muñ naan sax
ako jombe fambe memmin
du dona area kan soli
na manke area kan soli
ñu de suñ dëkk tay
ako itolla sato de bi
ñoy naan ndox
ako naaje jomi
bol buñ naan
ako borobe memmin
area kan soli ñu ko
ako area kan soli ko lew nati
masakunda mol mako sok sidim yalan ko akala jammando dakan yo faran samana mba yala mano dakan ni o ke mano kan tumando mano ni domor fangol wol faran se tala domande
ete mumu politicien be sira nyino la dukare tiling ibe londo soto fanna munto ya foko ni ndeta tambe nyine kela ima londi soto fanna munto kana o foy kana mol nene ko lafta sira ngola
politiko ni Gambia jan sa ay bata ku jamale nati ka ite nya ka jele ite be monoma ite yaron ko be on no ya je wala wulal beta e bunya e horma ite kallo ikela wululata ikawo ngai bota ka be ke bantoto katu mune woti ibe lola ibe munnenna wo metene wonde nenna wotela alpha nenna ite wela alpha nenna ite ko be politique walla ndema mira angen taka jare moyo wolela andum ibe bulela monoma tubando ite be bulela mo munnoma ite no be mu kutilu de Gambia ja bidin ka ton fo koy na be mu kilmulet ni Dawuda ndimba be mu bakki dum fa kilmulet so ndanga be ngen taka jola mu te mari be Dawuda ndi support la yes support bara amanjere nyoti yani nyo kuma nyo aja fola na politiko ali nga wonno ma nga doku mo man ni sida mansele ya sindi persida mansele ka sindi nga bula wonno ma ni ma le fo ala ka sindi ni wala fo mario fanana ilafta munna itani je fanin lumena masata lakin fana ya ta ya di won
ani momum be na ta jam am kontaan bu baax ci ako kontaan ta baake ñim bindi to na wax di de ako kumoñi dafa ñëw pour dumbalante ñun rek kumoñi beta ta nata pour ngana nga ñoo dema parce que naka ngay def ba bu jaar yoonu suuf ibe fere jonne kila du kare kanata ñin ko ma silola so deme yow ya fay def ni te tata itele be batala jeeto ban taxé lañ wara def ba duñ ci aw mbe fere jonne tala pour kanata ñin ko ma silola ku ñëw di ci waxtaan ak yow foog naa dafa bëgg laa dimbale moomoo naata ka okumoo fooye woto ñanta lo na wala teete deema la le te guddi yiñ toll nii dafa bëri lool ñin temben ak wobe siyaari mbaakele ci biir réew bankoo kañ kan ñun nguur gi dañ ñu war a jàppale man sa ñanta buloo loola jee doman ni naka la ñoo jàppale ba li waañ be moolu mutala woto ñaadiile nañ ñu ubbi training centers ay dulaalu yele daami yàlloon dindun se doo koo ke woto gis nga ndaw yi suñ amee lu ñee fu ñee xëy ni dinniwul ye dula soto i ñanta sorla daami ye fen soto di fe xëy di am lu ñuy yóbbul seen way juri i ka sori je i ka fendin soto i ka sayindi suwo kono jaf yoonu sa gannaaw bi yëpp dana wàññeeku ñing kooma silooɓe talala baake de waaye su loolu amut ni amuman soto xale yi dinañ jëm yoonu suuf bi de dindiwul fo e finti doron waaye suñu nguur gi jàppale ni man sa yaa buloo loññe woto domandi ñu am skill centers ye soto jang ba nga xam ne ndaw yi suñ jógee dinañ mun a dem jàng métier foofu dindiwul se wilino yeta métier o karam woto domandi yeneen nit yi itam am xëy bu nga xam ne dinañ mun a def xaalis ci seen poos non moo doon se sorino jeeye ko ɗin ɗin soto ba kelela jiiboo kono loolu de dina baax lool woɓe dindiwul deemala
sukaaɓe ɓe no ɓolol ngolla tampere nde ustono
dindiwul ye wuran ye dokuwo ke bataɓe talala
kono han sa yi ɓiɗɗo maɗa jeyen to faro
ni koye ɗimo en gata faro
te ngo faro jamɗinin ɗo de
kayroɓe ñin faro kono
mansa kunda ono wallu yimɓe ɓe taratoji yiyama gari ɗo kono hay hikka gari ɗo ɗi he pawatilaji no peccirani fof moƴƴani he yimɓe
bari aka diñamen a diñamankore ka moɗu ñala toon bon ka di mo kilinna itati haaji sodola mum bala
si tawi woni a ari wallude yimɓe foɓɓe baydoloɓe ɓe ko ɓen pota feccede ko feccete ko kono si woni ko yimɓe heɓɓe haaɗi pari ɗe ko ɓen feccete ko feccete
ni traki toon nata yaajiɓe muyañen tundo beedan jan sembola ya karfa woma
o dio nafale on okkirgol ala nafa o nafa o diro nafa kolla on jahon kollon laamu o wondema hen baydoloɓe ɗi keewi to leydi to te ko liggotoɓe kono ɓe ngala matériel al safudandi banko président ma ken tawn doroneɓe ñim banque kam woto ni jora on sodda ay di molla mun se dunno wulo kon bari na dita mun yañi dundo be dan a diro nafa tala no ɓe mbakkilo ɓe mballa yimɓe ɓe si leydi ndi wallama seeɗa yimɓe ɓe kala jaɓi wallude koye mumen nafa heɓotode ni banko yaadema banko mol fana ye sondema rolade fanal yefan dema aɓe nafa natile banko kan kono wona yi fayda compagnie ji ɗiɗi tampini yimɓe ɓe he leydi he compagnie lu siyata fa tambita kono kala nafa garɗo ko peccel naɓete feccere watande fof yimɓe jiita
The media played a critical role in influencing public perception towards sustainable peace and development. To amplify the voices of the rural communities, the media reported on the significance of the dialogue and made it inclusive.
Following the successful launch of the National Dialogue by His Excellency President Adama Barrow on February 12, 2024, regional stakeholders are finally meeting for a consultative forum extending the dialogue to stimulate participation in 6 thematic areas covering agriculture, migration, media, religions, politics, and education. This regional consultation provides a platform for grassroots voices to discuss and find solutions to critical national issues on the theme which is bang on our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources.
Overall, the Barrow administration blew a historic chance to create a new and inclusive society based on shared values and mutual respect. The project has a fair chance of succeeding and paving the way for lasting peace and prosperity, since the notion of the dialogue has gained momentum not just among the participants, but also with the wider public. The Chief of Staff, Office of the President, shares the Presidency's next step in incorporating the voices from the regional dialogue in the government's National Development Plan through its programs and policies.
Is actually now to reflect fully those views into the report, and this report will now be submitted to His Excellency the President and his cabinet to take into account, broken into thematic areas. For those that require policy consideration and formulation, they will be transferred and made into policy considerations. Those that require legislative amendments or legislative consideration would be processed as such and made into to law or regulation as it were. In particular, we take recognition of the fact that Gambians are yearning for the new constitutions that will take into account most of the aspirations of Gambia in the area of legislation as currently being considered in the new draft. The last part would be the recommendation to institutionalize the process itself. Institutionalization means that we need to have this on a regular basis, national dialogue, then why not also political dialogue, why not cultural dialogue, to the extent that nations are built on the basis of exchange of ideas and knowledge. It requires all Gambians and friends of the Gambia to have a say in the way and manner we are governed and in the way and manner our country resources are utilized. We are all very much aware of the wise, smart team of national dialogue for which there was general concession that we need to rally Gambians to talk about. It's important at this stage of our nation that people are called together, especially our leaders, to discuss matters that are of concerns, that are important, and that are critical. Then together we can then find the solutions which then will translate into our various documents at various levels and implemented. So back to my point, in terms of institutionalization, the starting point is after recognizing the need to have this frequency and periodic meetings, we would then also identify institutions who are critical stakeholders and assign specific teams and specific responsibilities to monitor and to report on, and the Gambian people should and must be carried along, and the only way we can carry them along is to report back to them.
It is a positive move for government to initiate the national dialogue and for Gambians to openly embrace the initiative and take ownership of. Indeed, Gambians have proven that we acknowledge that what binds us as a nation is stronger than what divides us. As we continue to monitor and follow up on the recommendations, I am Mabinta Koli. Keep dialoguing, for we have a collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources.
Kairo duanya vananga duwe nani oduma jabo de bonuma yo nani yola du gangi Alamantuna kairo kono sakuna Gambia ngudo